Darcel Graham, Chief Operating Officer for Manitoba Crop Alliance, as well as the Principal Investigator for the development of Long-Type Confection Sunflower Project. Two of the main objectives of the project is to add herbicide tolerance to confectionery sunflowers, as well as producing long-type seeds that are going to be able to be marketed into both the domestic and international marketplaces. This project is broken down into two activities, one being our summer and winter nursery, where our hybrids are developed, and this one here, which we're featuring today, is our Canadian testing program. This program piece is to ensure that they are adaptable to Manitoba for our growing region, and we're focusing on a few different areas to ensure that they fit in Canada. So looking at lodging resistance, improved dark long seed type with shoulder width, herbicide tolerance, rust and disease resistance, as well as ensuring that they are high yielding.
My name is Mike Hagen. I'm a contract confection sunflower breeder for the Manitoba Crop Alliance. My job as the breeder is to develop commercially competitive confection sunflower hybrids with long seed types, 2/3 to 3/4 of an inch long with a good color, a lot of nut meat, that are high yielding, that are commercially competitive. Everything in this program is express tolerant. There's 132 prelim hybrids here. There's 12 advanced hybrids here. Before we start the tour, I want to show you this hybrid. This is a popular commercial hybrid in Canada. And the reason I want to show you this is because I want to show you the head color or where it's at for maturity. We just had a hard frost here this morning, and today is September 17th. I think this particular hybrid is mature enough or has the head color that you could say that it's physiologically mature, and it did make it. So I just want to use this head color as a reference for our tour. The first experimental hybrid, this is a first-year preliminary hybrid, and the things that I select for, the 5 things that I think actually you need to make a commercial hybrid would be: number 1, standability; number 2, maturity; number 3, having a good disease tolerance package; number 4 would be seed type and nut meat; and then finally, when we harvest here, then we'll have an idea on yield. Been a tremendous amount of wind through this plot. You can see the hybrid is standing quite well. It's a shorter hybrid. We like short. I like to keep them down. I basically don't want to have them any taller than about my chin. So that's what I shoot for as a breeder. This is a shorter hybrid. You can see it's got good standability. The head color, and I showed you from the reference from that other commercial hybrid, the head color, it's quite yellow, which means it's at maturity. So if we had a frost now, which we had this morning, we're in good shape. It's hit physiological maturity. It's also a very healthy hybrid. You can see that there's very, very little leaf disease. I think maybe what you're seeing on some of this wilting is from the 22-degree frost we had this morning. Generally got good late season plant health. There's not much rust on it. Quick show you the seed type. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not. We breed for longs. We want a seed that's 2/3 to 3/4 of an inch long, that's got a wide shoulder. And when I say wide, that's the shoulder. So we want something that's long, not round, and you can see that it's got length, and it's also got a shoulder. We also want nut meat in it. And this hybrid's got a high amount of nut meat inside the hull. We don't want much air inside the hull. We want a lot of nut meat. Here's our second hybrid. And again, I'm just going to step back and let you see the standability. You can see it's been a tremendous amount of wind through here, and it stood quite well. I want to breed the sunflower hybrids so they can handle 60-mile-an-hour wind and a driving rain and still be there standing. It's something I work very, very hard on in the program, standability. The disease package on this looks just fine. We do breed these hybrids with downy mildew, a gene for downy mildew resistance and rust resistance. And I'll be doing some molecular marker screening on these hybrids later in September to determine if the parent lines we used in Chile last winter, where we made this seed, actually were fixed for the genes for resistance. A little bit of seed for you. And again, you can see the seed type. It's a long with a broad shoulder, good color. A lot of nut meat, full of nut meat. It's a little bit clumsy trying to do it in the field like that. So you should have good test weight. Just produces a better in-shell product. This would be our third hybrid. It'd be entry number 30 in our preliminary hybrid in Elm Creek. And again, you see this, the height. The height is very good, it's short, and the standability. The hybrid stood very well. Again, I want to emphasize how important that is in this program. We want to make sure they can handle that 60-mile-an-hour wind and that driving rain. And when it's done with, that field is still standing. You can see the color on the back of the head. So it's hit maturity. It's definitely early enough for the Manitoba or Saskatchewan environment. And disease is good. Other than the frost damage from this morning, it looked very good earlier. So it does have good late season plant health. And I'll be checking to see if gene for downy mildew and rust is in this hybrid based on what I get from the molecular marker readings from the parent lines. Some seed, I took some seed out. And again, you can see the seed type. Good color, broad shoulder, long, with a lot of nutmeat. Here's another hybrid, another preliminary hybrid, and it's our entry 37. And this is the first year prelim. And again, I want to show you the standability. Tremendous amount of wind in this plot, and it stood just well. It stood real well. And also the maturity, the back of the head. You can see it's yellow, so it is mature. So yeah, there's very little rust. There was very little rust. This hybrid appears to have good late season plant health. The stalks are healthy. I'm going to show you some seed out of this hybrid. Again, you see it's wide shoulder. It's a long seed with a wide shoulder. Real nice dark color. We don't want too much variegation. What variegation is the white lines in the seed. We want to try to keep that to a minimum. It just seems to be a more visually desirable product. They're full of nut meat. Okay, entry 51, another first year prelim. So this one's just a little bit taller than the other ones we looked at. About as tall as I like to go, but it still has very good standability. Stalks are in good shape, very little stalk disease. And you can see late season plant health. The leaves are still in good shape. One thing I like to mention is a lot of the hybrids, the way I have the breeding, the heads are down, and it does help for them to avoid sunburn. When you have a hybrid where the heads are up, it can sunburn and you can lose some yield. Also, the heads with a real short crane produces that effect, but I don't want to see the crane kink. Okay, I don't like kinking. As long as the crane's there and there's no kink, then I'm real happy with that. So again, good standability, the right maturity, good late season plant health, good disease package, and I'm going to show you the seed type here real quick. Long with a wide shoulder. Good color. Dark color, not too much variegation. And a lot of nut meat. Full of nut meat. This would be entry 71. Another first year prelim that I want to show you. And again, I'm going to move off to the side a little bit and you can see the standability. You can see the maturity on the heads in comparison to the first commercial hybrid I showed you at the beginning of the film. It's yellow, so it is physiologically mature. and good. It's got good health. It's got good late season plant health. I don't see any leaf diseases. I don't think there's any rust on this particular hybrid at all. Stalks are in good shape, about a medium height. The cranes are good. There's no kinking. The seed type, phenotype, and the yield potential, it all adds up. You want to have you need to have the agronomics. You need to have the seed type. Of course, what we're doing here is we're trying to figure out what the yield is. Okay, so after we harvest all these, then we'll know how it yields in comparison to that Czech hybrid we showed you in the beginning, and we'll make advancement decisions from that. It's a long with a wide shoulder, around 2/3 to 3/4 of an inch long. Good color and a lot of nut meat. This is preliminary hybrid 72, and again, I want to stood very well, and the maturity. If you look at the back of the heads, you can see the color, so it's definitely early enough for Canada. The stalks are healthy. There's no stalk. I don't see any stalk disease on this in this hybrid. The leaves look good. It had good late season plant health. I don't see any significant leaf diseases on it. I see just a little bit of rust, but nothing significant. I'm going to show you the seed type. Again, the seed color, wide, long with a wide shoulder, 2/3 of an inch long. Okay, so basically my formula is it's got to have a full agronomic package like what I'm talking about. It has to have all those traits. It has to yield. We're going to find out what the yield is, and it has to have seed type. So that's how I narrow the field down out here. It has to have all five of those, all the agronomic traits that I've been listing or talking about, and it has to have the right seed type with a lot of nut meat. This is entry 85 in the preliminary trial. And again, I want to take a quick look at the standability. It stands real well. Let's look at the backs of the heads for maturity. You can see that it's yellow. It has hit physiological maturity. It has very good late season plant health. The leaves hung in there real well. I don't see any leaf diseases or stalk diseases in this variety. And it has a very desirable seed type. I'll show you the seed type. It's a long with a wide shoulder, good color, which increases the marketability of the seed. Its appearance does count, so we want to have something that's dark, doesn't have too much variegation, and we want to have something that has nut meat, plenty of nut meat. We don't want to have a lot of air inside the hull. We want to have that thing full. This is entry 89 of the prelim hybrid, of the prelim trial, excuse me. Again, I want to show you the standability. Stood well. There's nothing leaning across the aisle. Everything stayed up pretty straight. Okay, it's yellow on the back of the head. It is physiologically mature, so it's early enough for Manitoba or Saskatchewan. The overall health of the plot and the plant health is good. You can see we're late in the season, and the leaves are hung on quite well. Good stalk health. You look down here, you don't see any stalk disease. There's a few plants starting to senesce on the bottom, but that's normal because we're getting late in the season. Okay. Similar phenotype is what we've been looking at. We got a crane, the head's down, can avoid things like sunburn and bird feeding, I guess. I'll show you the seed type. And again, that's long with a wide shoulder, 2/3 to 3/4 of an inch long. And they're full of nut meat. There's no room inside that hull. This is preliminary hybrid 93, in entry 93. And it's a shorter hybrid, a little bit shorter. And again, you can see that phenotype that we follow. I try to follow in the program to keep the head down with a little bit of a crane, but it's strong and it doesn't kink. You can see the maturity. Back of the head's yellow. And when I look down there, you can see there was no lodging. Everything held straight. It held straight and it didn't wobble. I don't like to see them even leaning across the aisle. The plant health is good. I don't see any rust. I don't see any leaf diseases in here. I guess there's a little bit of rust, but not much. Generally a good disease package. You can see the stalks are still in good shape, real healthy. And I'm going to show you the seed type. 2/3 to 3/4 of an inch long with a wide shoulder. Longs. Good color. Not a lot of irrigation. That you got that white stripe on the outside, but that's not a problem. A little bit of irrigation on some of them. And full of nut meat. Here's some seed off of the commercial hybrid I showed you in the beginning. That hybrid has more of a round type seed. These are longs and these are rounds. So just so you can see the comparison between what we're breeding for and what's in that commercial hybrid. It's quite a bit. There's quite a big difference. It's two different markets actually. Breeding for this market because it's more of a broad market. There are more markets you can go into, international and domestic. This one's a little bit more limited for where you can go with it. There you can see a difference between a round type and a long type. This is the last preliminary hybrid that we're going to review. We have 132 total preliminary hybrids in here again, just to review that in 2 reps. This is entry number 120. Okay, you can see again, it's a short. This one here is a short hybrid. You're going to see that again. You're going to see that phenotype show up in a lot of these hybrids. The crane doesn't have a kink. It's good and strong. It should hold the head up for the whole season and not kink. Sometimes we get kinking and you get a wind. The wind will spin the head off. We don't want that. So short hybrid. You can see the back of the head. It's yellow, so it's physiologically mature. And it stood very well. You can see there isn't any plants down. There isn't anything crossing over, so it stood well in the high winds they had here, and the high winds and a lot of rain. And I'm going to show you the seed type. 2/3 to 3/4 of an inch long, a long type. It's broad. It's a lot of nut meat. Full of nut meat. We're now in the advanced trial, or what we call our AYT, and this hybrid is in its 3rd year of testing. You can see the phenotype. So no, the way they move through the program is based on seed type and yield, and the agronomic characteristics of the hybrid. And you can see it's a short hybrid. Stands well. It's got the right maturity. This hybrid is very closely related to a strip trial hybrid that we're testing this year. That's that's looking very good. I think this particular hybrid has some advantages over that. They're very closely related, and I just wanted to feature this and show you this one because of the relationship with that strip trial hybrid that we're looking at this year and what we're seeing for seed type. So far it's looking quite good. I'm going to show you some seed from this hybrid. Not much variegation. So we have 12 AYT hybrids, 12 hybrids we advance each year out of the prelim program. And I just wanted to show you this one. Right now, this is my favorite. And I think there's a good chance after we see the yields coming off this are have been very high and very competitive, and we may move this then into the strip trial program for next year.